This video was sponsored by Enhance, NeoWatt, ABRP, Elbilmek, Kempower and EB Hub.
Yo, what's up? The beautiful Mazda 6e is back. This time it's spring, almost summer. I don't know what is the definition of summer in Norway. But okay, anyway, when we tested it last time it was minus 10 degrees Celsius. And there were some weird results here. I believe that maybe the car is lying about consumption, because in the Deepal S05, which is the brother from the same mother or the other mother, so, or whatever, there's like, the car doesn't show you real consumption because it kind of takes off or deducts the consumption for heater. So that's what we're gonna try today, drive without heater. It is somewhat cold now. And also, I have Isabel with me. Yo, what's up? Isabel, what's up?
Yo, what's up?
Awesome. So actually, this car has Isofix mounting points in the front seat. That's awesome. She can sit in the front. She gets the first view, the view in the front and all that. So that's awesome. And also, yeah, she's 4 years old now, and she's using the forward-facing seat. But this is Cybex Anoris T2 with airbag in here. Okay, good girl, good girl. So, but then, wait, you're gonna call Barnevernet because you're gonna drive without heater. Well, behold, the EcoFlow Delta Max. Wait, focus. Yeah, I have 2 of them in here. So that's good. That means that they should be able to power the drive long enough. And then we have the fan here. Okay, so what I need to do, in the Deepal, there will be a screen, energy screen somewhere, where you can see the claim consumption and then the heater or accessory, whatever they call it. When I go here in the Mazda, it doesn't have it, even though it has the same platform, the same motor, drivetrain, battery. It doesn't have that part. I looked everywhere, I couldn't find it. So that's why, okay, I didn't find it the first time I tested it during winter. But whatever. So if you look here, we have, well, I don't know about the tire pressure, by the way. Isn't that kind of low? Okay, whatever. This is what the car came with. But after self-start, okay, that's fine. Subtotal. Okay, this one, you want to reset. Wait, what is it again? Press OK. Okay, press OK. Yes. And then what? Long term. We can also reset this, whatever. It doesn't matter. No, you can't reset that one. I'm a noob. Okay, whatever. We have reset some stuff now, and then we're gonna drive the south loop here, because the north loop here has lots of rain. I want to avoid that because I'll probably get some moisture in here because I'm not running HVAC. You see, HVAC is off right now. So we'll take the south loop, take a little drive with Isabel. Isabel, are you ready? Yeah, let's go. Before we start, you see that the battery temperature is 14 to 16 degrees Celsius. Unfortunately, here car scanner doesn't show state of charge percentage. It did that earlier this winter, but it seems like they changed the software. Yeah, maybe the Chinese don't want you to see all this data. But you can see also eventually how high the delta will be just from driving. But yeah, also, for the record, since we have a toddler in the front here, front passenger airbag has been turned off. There is no switch in the door there. It's done here under safety and then front passenger airbag, and then see, well, so you want to have it off. We are past Oslo now, and so far we have driven, what the heck is that, 0.9 hour? How much is 0.9 hour? It could be somewhere between 50 and 55 minutes, who knows, right? But yeah, so look at that consumption, 160 watt-hour per kilometer. Okay, we drove through Oslo where the speed limit is low, but now we're actually not using HVAC, so maybe this car is efficient. Well, I need to measure the battery capacity. We are now at Strømstad or Circle K. You know, this is where the Ioniq discharges are. We're gonna turn around. The car claims 6% at arrival. I know that the state of charge scale here is non-linear, so we want to turn around at 55%, not 50%. Okay, so now we head back. We are now at Circle K Rygge. We will, of course, not charge here. Isabel is hungry. She passed out a little bit, so we have to make sure that she doesn't sleep too long, because tonight we're going to drive 1,000 kilometer challenge. If she sleeps too long, then it will take forever for her to fall asleep tonight. But yeah, so we are still far away from yes home, and then we are down to 35%. Really, 188 watt-hour per kilometer? Okay, and we've driven 2.4 hours. And the battery has heated up from, it was 16 to 20 degrees, now it's 18 to 24, so the delta between min and max has gone up. We're back in the car after some lunch, but we have some moisture problem now because it's been raining cats and dogs. I might need to run defogging a couple of times. But let me see, we're gonna proceed to, dude, like, I don't know why the car cancel navigation. I can resume this, of course, but why do you want to, no. Why do you want to cancel navigation just because you left the car, right? I don't know. Okay, let's go. We are getting close to Skedsmokorset and we're down to 8%. It's the dreaded below 10% shite again. It's gonna drop like crazy now. Don't expect 20 kilometers more range. Expect 5 kilometers maybe. But then, dude, we are still 25 kilometers away from yes home. We're not gonna make it there. We have to bail out before. Man, this is so scary. We're going uphill and the percent dropped so fast. We're down to 3%, 7 kilometers. Always go deep. Well, I brought protection, but the protection is almost out now. Oh, just 2%. Oh, okay. We need to bail out very soon. All right, further ahead now. There is a Circle K. Oh, this is strange. So today we had HVAC off most of the time. I had some defogging, but 330.5 kilometers done, 187 watt-hour per kilometer, and then the remaining 2% I counted as 1%. So this means 62.4 kilowatt-hour only. The Deepal S05 had 69.5 kilowatt-hour, and then the previous 6E I tested, I measured between 57.6 and 64.6 kilowatt hour. So this doesn't make any sense. We actually didn't run HVAC today. Is the battery actually smaller? Whatever, we're gonna plug in now. Because you arrive with 19 to 28 degrees Celsius, battery heated up towards the end. We are sharing charger now, so we're not getting full speed of what the car is capable of taking. Yeah, only 79 kilowatts. But at least we are charging. Wow, the percentage dropped way faster than expected. Wait a minute, 155 kilowatt, 156. Oh, this is actually not too bad. Wow. Seems like, well, as long as we don't replicate, then we should get pretty good speed. Yeah, but I suspect that we're still not receiving maximum speed because we are sharing. All right, new day, new possibilities. I just finished 1,000 kilometer challenge, and then I went deep. Yeah, because I want to measure the battery capacity in another way, which is to charge it and then calculate based on losses. So we actually went deep. I was just sitting here still, and we actually went to 0 kilometers, 0%. And then we are actually pulling 200 watts still. But okay, whatever. So I'm gonna plug in soon and charge to 100%, and then we calculate based on that also. Okay, we are done with the charging test. This is possibly the longest test that spans over several days. But I finished the test in the evening, and then I didn't check it. But then during the night, it also popped up and charged again. But okay, it consumes 73.8 kilowatt hour total. But then when I look in Tibber and I can pinpoint how long it charged at 10 kilowatt roughly, then I see that that's 6 minutes, and 6 minutes is 1/10 of an hour, so that's 1 kilowatt hour roughly. So if we deduct for that, we get some result here that if we assume 72.8 kilowatt hour into 100%, and then there was some, I don't know, vampire drain mining Bitcoin, sending data to China, and then he had to charge again during the night then. And also if we assume 10% onboard charging loss, then we have 66.2 kilowatt hour net capacity. Another scenario is that we have the whole 73.8. Maybe the car was balancing during the evening and then at night, and then it topped up to 100% again after it was balanced or calibrated. Then we can assume 73.8 kilowatt hour, and then maybe best case, what if there's only 8% onboard charging loss if it has silicon carbide components like Tesla? Then we should have 68.3 kilowatt hour. That's getting close to the 69.5 we get in the brother from the same mother, the D-PAL S05. But then what about the last scenario? Based on the 62.4 kilowatt hour measured versus the 73.8 we get from the plug, then we actually have whooping 15% loss. There's no way that the onboard charger is that inefficient. It's not a Zoe with a Camelon charger. So I actually don't know. Well, I guess I would go by the around 66 kilowatt hour maybe. Yeah. Or 68. I don't know what you guys think, but roughly there, 66, 67 kilowatt hour is what I believe it is, not what the car tells me based on the actual driving test. Yeah, so that means that the car is actually lying about the consumption. Okay, all right, but I want to do some consumption test now and see how efficient this car is. But also I want to test with a spoiler up and down, because actually during 1,000 kilometer challenge I made a small blunder. I had the spoiler up, and then supposedly it creates it spoils the aerodynamics, hence the name, and causes higher consumption. But then after 550 kilometers into the challenge I was like, oh, and then I retracted the spoiler. So we just want to see how much does it affect the consumption. Well, now it's okay, Dal. So I will just take a short loop. Here I'll go to Nebbenes, back again, go to Høyseter, back again. That'll be around 35 kilometer loop. And then I'll start with the 120 test. And if we go to the vehicle settings, scroll down a bit, we can start with here, spoiler retract or off, it means it's down. Okay, we're on the move, trying to drive at 120 kilometers per hour on the GPS. But then the stupid car slows down in the curve. It's a really dangerous and sharp curve here. Now I'm gonna override. Oh, holy macaroni. Yeah. Okay, it's slightly better now. But there's also lots of traffic here, so I'm not sure if I can get any good tests. It's not consistent. There's just way too many left lane huggers. Oh, well, yeah. I guess around 60% of the route is clear, but then we have stuff like this. So of course, ideally we need to do this at night, and also when it's cold, and then we have a bigger effect on it. Yeah, these guys, they don't move over, they just want to camp. So it kind of ruins the consumption. Well, it becomes better, plus that if you are driving behind someone, you also get the drafting effect. So can we use this result? I don't know, maybe the 90 test will be better because we will drive slower. Alright, this time with the spoiler down, we have 204 watt-hour per kilometer. This car also underreports by 0.8%, so you have to correct for that. So now I will go here, vehicle settings, and then we take up the spoiler. Alright, fairly clean run. We had a few cars in front of us. There's compensated by going slightly faster afterwards. It's nice and warm outside, 13 degrees Celsius. Yes, spring is finally coming to Norway also. Wait, no, don't slow down there. Shit, no, what the heck is that? It's even in a straight line here. Seems like it just doesn't strictly keep the speed, the cruise control speed here. So I have to constantly accelerate to make it go constant. Well, in this test, we got the exact same result. Yeah, I think it's pointless to try it now in the daytime with too much traffic. Whatever. Let's measure the 90 test then. Okay, now we have to cruise on 93 on the speedo. Well, it doesn't strictly follow 93, but whatever. Wait. It's 89 now. Come on, can you just go 93? Accelerate. There, 93. That's 90 GPS speed. Or 91. Now it goes to 90. Okay, whatever. Wow, this time it was only 151 watt-hour per kilometer. Very good consumption. we're done with the test, and I calculated some data, and I actually don't know how many kilowatt hour we have in the Mazda. So based on the charging test, it points towards that we have somewhere between 66 and 68 kilowatt hour maybe. But then the driving test without heater claims 62.4. So either the onboard charger is really inefficient, we have 15% onboard charger loss, which is freaking high. Tesla Model 3 I tested had only 8%, or the car is lying about the consumption. So I decided to trust the charger info and actually assume that the car is lying about consumption, because it was actually doing that in a DPAL S05, which is based on the same platform. Actually quite similar. So that means that the consumption that I measured today, we actually have to add 7.4% to that. So what appears to be 151 watt hour per kilometer, first I correct for the 0.8% underreporting, it becomes 150, and then add 7.4%, and then it becomes 161 watt hour per kilometer. And then the high-speed test, also higher consumption there. And then, okay, we still get okay range, because, you know, this is a sedan, so it's not that boxy. But yeah, it's just weird the way it reports numbers, and then why it doesn't make any sense. Because when I test other cars, whatever the trip computer reports, like this PV5 I'm sitting in right now, I cross-check that against a charging test, and it makes sense. You know, there might be usually 8 to 10% onboard charger loss for AC, and then for DC it's roughly the same. Actually, it depends also how the car heats up or cools down the battery. But every time I test the Mazda, it's like so weird result. But whatever. Okay, at least we tested it now, and we know roughly how far we can go in summer. So that's gonna be for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching, and talk to you later.